Hello everyone, welcome to this Java tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will continue our discussion with the methods in Java. So we will understand what are method parameters and arguments in Java. And further, we will also look at the return keyword in Java. So without wasting time, let's get started. In our previous video, we have already seen this void return type in a method, right? So basically this void simply means that your method will not return any kind of information after the method is executed, right? So that's the use of this void return type in a method, right? And since your void method does not return any information, so if you write something like this, system.out.println, right? And if I write this person1 dot running method, right? So if I call this running method, I'll get the compilation error because this method does not return any sort of information, right? So let me run this program. Now let me compile the program and I should have the compilation error. And as you see, we have the compilation error. Void type not allowed here, right? Because this void method running does not return any useful information to be printed. So that's the reason you have this compilation error. All right. Now in this same program, you consider this print num method, right? So don't worry about this return to and this int right now. We will discuss this just in a while. So just consider this print num method, right? And so it has this print statement print method, right? And what I'll do is I'll call this person1 dot print num method, right? So let us see the output first. Now let me compile and execute the program. And as you see, we have the outputs print method and 2, right? So now let us understand the return type first, right? So as you know that this int is your return type of this method print num, right? So the return type simply means that the type of the information that will be outputted by this method, right? So the print num method will return the output which is of the type int, right? And in this case it will return 2. Don't worry about this return right now, just think about this return type. So this int return type simply means that this print num method will return some information which is of the integer type, right? And we have already seen with the void, right? So void means that this method will not return any information, right? So that's the reason you got this compilation error over here, right? And here we did not have any compilation error because this method did return a value which was 2, right? So basically void means that you will not return any information. And if you're writing any other data type apart from void, that simply means that this method will return some type of value. All right, let us change this 2 to 3, right? Let us compile and execute it. So let us run the program, and as you see, we have the outputs print method and 3. Now here in the program, let us change the value from 3 to 3.12, right? And we should have the compilation error. Now let me run the program. And as you see, we have the compilation error, right? So as you know that this method is returning a floating point value, but the return type specified is of the integer type, right? So that's the reason we have the compilation error. So in order to fix this program, what we can do is instead of int, we can write something like this, double, right? And the compilation error should be gone. So let me run this. Now let us run the program. And as you see, the compilation error is gone. So let us execute it. So we have the output as 3.12. All right. Now let us talk about this return statement in Java. So we have already seen break and continue transfer statements in one of our previous video. So similar to break and continue, return is also your transfer statement in Java. So basically it is used to stop the execution of a method and transfer control back to the calling code, right? So we will see this right now. But before that, let us see what happens, if I write this return statement before the print statement within this method. So let me run this program first. Now let me compile the program. And as you see, we have the compilation error, unreachable statement, right? And below that we have this, missing a return statement. Although we have this, return statement written in our method. So let us see what are these errors. So you had this first error, unreachable code, and it simply means that this part of code is never executed, right? Now let us talk about the second compilation error, return statement missing. So although we have written this return state keyword over here, we have this return statement, then also we have the compilation error. So this happened, because our method returns a value, right, other than void. So the program is expecting that return statement should be the last statement to be executed within a method. So that's the reason we have the compilation error, because once we write it before the print method, so this print method becomes your last statement. So that's the reason you have the compilation error, right? So we can fix this by simply writing the return statement below the print line method, right? Now consider this another example of return keyword in Java. So what I've done is, in this print num method, I've changed the return type to int, right? And in this method, I have this integer variable num, which is initialized with the value of 3, right? Then we have the condition, num less than 10. And if the condition is true, then you have this return 12. And if the condition evaluates to false, then the program will execute further, and it will return the value as 24, right? So we have this num value initialized with 3, right? So this condition should be true and the output should be 12, right? So let me run this program. So now let me compile and execute the program. And as you see, we have the output as 12. And similarly, if I change this to 13, the output should be 24, right? So let me save this and run this. Now let me compile it and let us execute it. And as you see, we have the output as 24. Now let us see what happens if I write this print statement after the return statement on line 16, right? So we have this return statement on line 16, which is inside the if block, and I've written this print statement which is outside the if block, right, but before the last return statement. So let us see what happens. Now let me compile and execute the program, and we don't have any compilation errors. So let me execute it, and as you see, we have the outputs hello and 24. So these are few ways to write your return statement within a method in Java, right? So you must remember that it is not compulsory to have the return statement which should be the last statement, right? Here in this example, we have this return statement inside the if block, right? And after that we have the normal statement, which is your print statement, right? Then also the program successfully executed, right? So the reason you call your return statement as a transfer control statement is that as soon as the program encounters this return statement within a method, it will stop the execution of a method, right? So here in this case, if the num value was set to 3, then this return statement will be executed, which is on line 16, right? So the program will transfer the control back to the caller or the invoker, right? So this is the invoker, right? And our statements print line and this return 24 will never be executed, right? Now let us talk about method parameters and method arguments in Java. So now consider this class calculator, and it has two methods, sum and difference. So as you must have guessed, what the sum method does is it will take two inputs and it will give us the sum. And similarly for the difference, it will find the difference between two numbers, right? So let us see how we can give the information to your methods, right? So now let us see how we can define a method which accepts two integer number and gives the sum and the difference, right? So for this sum method we can write something like this. So within this round brackets, first what I will do is I'll write this num1 comma num2. So this num1 represents your first number and this num2 represents your second number, and they are separated by a comma, right? And before these numbers, what I need to do is I need to just enter the data types of those numbers. So your num1 is of the integer data type, and similarly is your num2, right? And inside the method body, what I will do is I'll simply calculate the sum and return it. So I'll return num1 plus num2. So your sum method is as simple as that, right? And we can also do the same thing for the difference method, right? So what I'll do is I'll write n1 for number 1 and int n2 for number 2, and I'll type return n2 minus n1, right? So now let us see how we can use this methods. Now let us create this calculator object. So I'll type calculator calc equals to new calculator, right? And since this is your constructor, you need to end with the round brackets. So what I will do is for this sum method, it has the output as num1 plus num2. So I'll save this in a variable sum. So I'll type int sum, and sum is equal to calc dot sum method, and this method expects two input. So I'll type 2 comma 3, right? So let me print this sum variable system dot out dot println, right? And the sum. And for this difference method, what we will do is we simply print the difference, right? So what I'll do is I'll type system dot out dot println, and within this parentheses, what I'll do is I'll type calc dot difference, and this also expects two input, so 3 comma 2, right? So let me save this and run this. So now let me compile and execute it, and as you see we have the proper outputs 5 and -1, right? Now let us talk about method parameters and method arguments in Java. So for this method within your class, we have this num1 and num2. So these are the inputs to this sum method and are nothing but your method parameters, right? And similarly, if you're using this method sum, when you're passing the actual values, these are nothing but your method arguments. And method arguments are usually associated with the actual values which are passed on to the method, right? So that is it for the today's video, and don't forget to subscribe for more Java programming videos like this, and I will see you until next time.